Urgent Montreal Canadiens fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Montreal Canadiens updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Alright, Canadiens fans, I hope you're sitting down because what I'm about to tell you is pretty wild. We've got some fresh, hot off the press news coming straight from the NHL insider world, and trust me, it's got everything to do with a major trade saga that's been making waves across the hockey community. And no, it's not just about some random player swap, this is about a potential blockbuster that could have shaken the league, especially with the Montreal Canadiens right in the mix of the ongoing conversations. So, buckle up, because what I'm about to unfold is the story behind a trade that almost was a deal that could have changed the landscape of the NHL, and how the Canadiens could have played a part in all of this. But first, let's set the scene. The NHL offseason is always a roller coaster, right? Teams are trying to position themselves for a successful run in the upcoming season, and that means bringing in new talent, making strategic moves, and sometimes, shaking things up with bold trades. And this year, one of the biggest rumors was centered around a high-profile player, a guy who's been making waves with his scoring prowess, his playmaking ability, and his undeniable talent. I'm talking about none other than Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche. You all know Rantanen, right? The Finnish forward, a constant threat on the ice, with a knack for finding the back of the net, and a playmaker who can set up his teammates with pinpoint passes. The guy is a nightmare for defenses, and any team would be lucky to have him. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The Toronto Maple Leafs, a team always hungry for that Stanley Cup, had reportedly been eyeing Rantanen as a potential addition to their roster. Why? Because they saw him as a perfect piece to complement their core of talented forwards and to give them that extra offensive punch they've been craving. Leafs fans, you know how much the team has been trying to build that championship-winning lineup, and Rantanen's name kept popping up in those whispers and rumors. The Leafs, always aggressive in the offseason, saw him as a piece that could push them over the edge, especially considering how close they'd been in recent years but just couldn't quite seal the deal. So, the rumors started swirling. Would this trade actually happen? Could the Avalanche be convinced to part ways with Rantanen? And more importantly, what would the Maple Leafs have to give up? Well, here's where things got complicated. As we dug deeper, insider sources like Elliotte Friedman, one of the most respected NHL insiders out there, confirmed that a trade proposal was indeed on the table. But, as with many NHL deals, it wasn't just about matching players and contracts. The real sticking point was the cap space, a headache for every NHL team, especially for a team like Toronto that's always maneuvering close to the salary cap ceiling. Friedman explained that the Maple Leafs simply couldn't make the numbers work. Rantanen, as talented as he is, carries a hefty contract. His salary, combined with the cap hits of other key players, meant Toronto would have had to make some significant roster adjustments to fit Rantanen into the mix. And, unfortunately for the Leafs, their cap situation just didn't allow for that kind of flexibility at this moment. Despite their genuine interest and the desire to add a player of Rantanen's caliber, the logistics didn't line up. It's a reminder of how complex NHL trades are. It's not just about two teams wanting to swap players, but about fitting everything within the fine-tuned financial framework of the league. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably wondering, what would Rantanen have brought to the Maple Leafs? Well, it's pretty obvious. We're talking about a guy who averaged over 30 goals per season in recent years, a player who's not just a scorer but also a playmaker who can elevate the entire team's offensive game. His ability to find space on the ice, his vision, and his hockey IQ make him a nightmare for defenses. For Toronto, adding Rantanen could have meant a serious boost in their scoring depth, especially on their top lines. It could have helped them become even more dangerous on power plays, and give their fans more hope that this year, they might finally be able to push through and reach that elusive Stanley Cup final. But, as they say in hockey, that's the way the puck bounces. The trade fell through, and it's a big what-if scenario now. Still, this isn't just about that one deal. It's about the bigger picture, how teams are always looking for that perfect fit, how financial constraints can derail even the most promising plans, and how the NHL offseason continues to be a whirlwind of rumors, hopes, and disappointments. And this leads us to the Montreal Canadiens, because amidst all these big moves and near moves, it's worth asking, what does this mean for the Canadiens? Well, for starters, it's a reminder of how competitive the league is, and how every team is trying to find ways to improve their roster. Montreal, in particular, has been rebuilding, trying to develop young talent, and looking for strategic additions that can help them climb the standings. With the current roster, the Canadiens have a core of promising young players like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and Juraj Slafkovsky, but they still need that extra push to become playoff contenders again. The Canadiens' offseason has been marked by smart signings, draft picks, and a clear focus on developing their prospects. But they're also looking at the bigger picture, how to build a team that can compete with the likes of Toronto, Boston, Tampa Bay, and the other top contenders. Every move they make is carefully calculated, and they're always on the lookout for opportunities to strengthen their roster, whether through trades, free agency, or developing their young talent. So, while the Rantanen deal didn't happen, it's still a lesson for fans and analysts alike. It shows how intricate and delicate NHL transactions can be, and how sometimes, even when everyone believes a trade is almost certain, the financial realities can put a stop to it all. It also highlights the constant hustle that teams like Montreal are engaged in, trying to find those hidden gems, developing their young stars, and positioning themselves for a playoff push in the coming seasons. Looking ahead, the NHL offseason is far from over. There are still plenty of trade rumors, free agent signings, and strategic moves that could reshape the league. For the Canadiens, it's about staying patient, being smart with their cap space, and waiting for the right opportunity to make that big move that could propel them into the postseason. They're building something special, and I truly believe that with the right pieces, they can become a team that challenges the top-tier teams in the league. Now, let's talk about the broader implications of this near move. The fact that the Maple Leafs couldn't swing the deal for Rantanen could open other doors. Maybe they shift their focus to other targets, or perhaps they look to make smaller, more manageable trades that fit within their cap. Meanwhile, the Avalanche might reassess their own strategy, possibly exploring other trade options or waiting for the right offer to come along. It's all part of this complex chess game that is the NHL offseason. And you can be sure that Montreal fans are watching closely, wondering what moves their team might make next. Speaking of moves, it's worth mentioning that the Canadiens have been actively scouting, and there's talk of them trying to bolster their depth on defense and add some scoring punch up front. They've been emphasizing a balanced approach, developing their young core, while also being ready to jump on the right trade opportunity when it arises. The NHL is unpredictable, and sometimes, those deals that seemed like long shots suddenly come together at the last minute. That's what makes following this league so exciting. And let's not forget the importance of fan support. As Canadiens fans, you've always been part of the team's journey, through highs and lows. The passion you bring to the Bell Center, the energy during games, and the hope for a bright future are what keep this franchise alive and thriving. Every offseason move, every rumor, every near miss like the Rantanen deal adds to the story of this team, and it's your unwavering support that fuels their drive to succeed. So, in conclusion, even though the trade involving Mikko Rantanen and the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't materialize, it's a reminder of how the NHL offseason is a season of its own, full of possibilities, uncertainties, and excitement. For the Canadiens, it's about continuing to build, staying patient, and being ready for that perfect moment when the opportunity arises. The league is evolving, teams are strategizing, and we, as fans, are right there with them, eagerly watching each move, each rumor, and each game that will shape the upcoming season. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this whole Rantanen near move? Do you think it would have made a difference for Toronto? Or are you glad it didn't happen, considering the cap issues? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the future of this team. I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and all the latest news from the NHL, so stay tuned, keep supporting your Canadiens, and let's keep the hockey passion alive. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Canadiens!